Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of LoroSportsPod and Sportscenter of 2022. Last week Matt and I had our New Year's Eve special, and today we are here today we are here for our first episode of 2022. So, Matt, welcome 2022, and we got a really good. And we had a lot of drama in Week 17 of the NFL season last week, and then a lot of games to be talked about in the NBA, the NHL, and MLB, and, of course, college football, of course.
Yes, Happy New Year. Yeah, a lot to talk about.
Absolutely. So let's talk about Week 17. So let's start with the Chargers getting a huge win over the Denver Broncos. I think that was one of my biggest takeaways, is that the Chargers getting a win at SoFi. You were at the game. You brought them luck, and there goes the Denver Broncos season.
Yeah, it was a really good game. They played a good game on all sides of the ball, defense, offense, and special teams. Huge special teams touchdown, a couple of great returns in that game. Just absolutely fantastic. And Herbert did well, set the all-time Chargers touchdown passing record in a season. Overall, very good game. A lot of fun.
I bet it was. And then also one of my biggest takeaways is that the Detroit Lions scored a lot, but they still lost to the Seattle Seahawks 29-51.
Yeah. I think that though the Lions are still heading in the right direction with Dan Campbell and with their wide receiver, Amon St. Ra.
You mean St. Brown?
St. Brown, yeah. And they got some good pieces starting to come up. They're developing. Penei Sewell's been pretty good the last several weeks, and they'll probably look to just draft a top-notch player on defense or offense. Probably not a quarterback, though.
Yeah, probably not a quarterback, though. I think Jared Goff is going to be fine, Anyways, also talk about the Cardinals snapping their losing streak.
Yeah, that was much needed. They played really well down in Dallas. Tough place to play, and they needed that one, and they locked themselves into a playoff position.
And then talk about the Patriots demolishing the Jaguars 50-10. And as you know, the New England Patriots are back in the playoffs after a one-year absence, which is kind of being the known theme during Bill Belichick's absence. I was kind of like with the Patriots. I'm like, we'll see where it happens. I think Mac Jones is going to be good. I think he's an upgrade over Cam Newton, which he's shown. But my expectations on the Patriots were kind of like low. And heading into the beginning of the season, I'm like, with a young quarterback, it'll be too much to ask for him to win the division title, because I still think the Bills are still the best team in the AFC East. But I think by next season, I'll be ready to claim the Patriots division champions again by next season.
Oh, yeah, they might. I think that the Patriots have been a good story this season, and we'll see if Mac Jones can continue to improve. If they continue to trust him with the ball. A lot of their success, I think, has just been not asking him to do much and keep a good defense, good special teams, and they've been able to win some games. They were on a bit of a skid, 2 straight losses, but they won this week, and they'll finish the season at Miami.
Yeah, we'll talk about that game in just a little bit, and then talk about the Rams getting a narrow win over the Ravens. But the Ravens are still alive for the playoffs. But if they want to get in, a lot has to happen, because the Bengals won the AFC North, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
Yeah. The Rams, that was a tough game for them, but they came out victorious. Tyler Huntley looks pretty good, I think, as a quarterback. I wonder if some teams will be interested in him in the offseason. I think that with the Rams beating the Ravens, now that puts the Chargers into a playoff position, and it's in their own hands. They just got to win at Vegas next week.
Yes, and then talk about the Bengals beating the Chiefs, and what a story the Bengals have been. You and I have put Zach Taylor on his hot seat, and on the hot seat, and then he proved us wrong.
Yeah, one of the great stories. And Burrow, I'll say this, he should be getting some MVP votes this year. I mean, he's had a fantastic season. So he won't be playing this weekend, they're saying. They want him to rest up his pinky and his knee.
Actually, if you look at it, it's going to be a battle of backups. Case Keenum of Cleveland and Brandon Allen of Cincinnati.
Yeah, going to be a tough game for both teams. I think the Bengals are still favored by 1.
I think they will, but I would probably go for Cleveland, but we'll have to talk about that in a little bit. But anyways, talk about Sunday Night Football as the Vikings got demolished by the Packers without Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, for sure. They just, that game was over pretty quickly, and the Vikings will have to make some choices in the offseason about their head coach, perhaps even Kirk Cousins, and other parts of their roster. We'll see.
And then Monday night, talk about the potential final home game for Ben Roethlisberger, and we all know that it's going to be a foregone conclusion that this is his final year in the NFL and that he's going to be hanging it up at the end of the season.
Yeah, who is that? You said Ben Roethlisberger. Yeah,
Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah. That was a great way to send him off, Mr. Steeler, maybe the greatest Steeler of all time. He's had quite the career. But it's time to go.
And I think the Steelers will draft Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
I think the Steelers are going to get him instead of trade for Watson. I think it's time to find a Ben Roethlisberger successor in the draft. But I think the Steelers will probably keep Mason Rudolph as a backup quarterback, and then maybe draft a veteran just to kind of help Pickett transition, and then maybe have Nick Foles be a backup or something like that. Who knows?
Yeah.
Or Fitzpatrick possibly could back up Pickett in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So, anyways, before we talk about our Week 18 preview, which hot seat head coach is likely coaching their final game with their prospective teams? I think for me, it's Mike Zimmer and Matt Nagy for sure.
Yeah. So they already have 2 openings, Jacksonville and Vegas. I think Vic Fangio is coaching his last game too, and I like Vic Fangio. I think that I think they should give him another year. I just don't think they will, though. I think they're going to bring in somebody else. So I think it's I think Vegas, and then Denver, Jacksonville, Minnesota, Chicago. I'm going to throw in one more for good measure. I don't know. I think it. I wonder if there's going to be a change of heart with Joe Judge.
Yeah, if you look at it, John Mara is impatient. I think the Giants are wanting to move into a new direction here. If you're John Mara and Steve Tisch, and talk about possibly the Panthers, because we talked about last week that David Tepper is an impatient owner.
Yes, that's right. I'm forgetting. Yeah, I forgot Matt Rule. Yeah, I think he's gone too.
You don't think Matt Rule's built for the NFL?
I think the issue is he doesn't have a quarterback, and I don't know what he wants to do about it. And he's struggling because in college you can draft you sign a quarterback out of high school, and you might have a backup that's pretty good too coming up the pipe. So if you don't like one of them, you go with the other. NFL, it's way more difficult. Cam Newton and Sam Darnold just not working there. So he's had trouble with that. Another surprise that could happen is I don't know if Pete Carroll will be back with Seattle or not. I don't see Seattle bringing back both Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson.
You think they keep one of them? I
think they keep one. In a way, you'd say keep Russell Wilson, keep your quarterback, and bring in a new head coach. But for some reason, I feel like Russell Wilson just might want to change the scenery and might feel that he's going to be able to do that with a different team. I could see him going to Pittsburgh. I could see him going to Denver. I could see him going to Miami or Cleveland, perhaps. there's a lot of options, I think, out there for him. New Orleans would be a great fit for Russell Wilson.
I think Russell Wilson will remain a Seahawk. I would want Deshaun Watson to go to New Orleans because I think that Sean Payton would definitely want to work with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
And also, you could still have Taysom Hill run some special plays.
Uh-huh.
So that's kind of my theory there. So I think for me, which hot seat head coach is likely coaching their final game with their teams? Matt Rule, most likely. Vic Fangio, most likely. Mike Zimmer. I didn't put Vic Fangio on there because I could see the Broncos giving him another shot.
Yeah, I think there's another wild card here too, that with Jim Harbaugh seems like he might want to leave Michigan and go back to the NFL.
I'm not sure. I don't think that will happen though. But
I think it will. There's a chance that he's just trying to get more money out of Michigan. You know, it's possible he wants like a better contract or something. But I also feel like he's been there for 7 years. This was his best season. They won the Big Ten championship. They beat Ohio State. And then they went to the playoffs and they got crushed by Georgia. And he might feel, hey, look, this is probably the best I can do at Michigan. You know, go maybe win the Big Ten or at least qualify for the playoff and then just get crushed by Alabama or Georgia or LSU or Florida, you know, like one of those schools. And maybe that's all he can do. And he's like, I've hit my ceiling here. And just like how Brian Kelly left Notre Dame for LSU because he felt, I think he had hit his ceiling. I think Harbaugh might see this as my ceiling, and I kind of want to go back to the NFL. And Harbaugh, at least, he has a great track record in both college and the NFL. If Jacksonville said they were going to keep Trent Baalke, but the fans were upset about it. And I could see Shad Khan, the owner of the Jags, going back on that promise and firing Trent Baalke and bringing in Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh and Trent Baalke, for those that are listening, don't know, they were together in San Francisco and they didn't quite like each other at the end. So Harbaugh would not go to Jacksonville with Trent Baalke there. But he would have Trevor Lawrence. He has the quarterback. Just get the rest of it in there. And it could be a really good spot, you know. And the AFC South, that's a winnable division, especially in a year or two. And that might be a good spot for him. But I could see him going to Vegas. I could see him going to Chicago, Denver even. So I think it's possible he could even go up to Seattle. And if they fire Pete Carroll, bring in Harbaugh, and then they keep Russell Wilson there. So I think there's a lot of interesting options for Harbaugh.
There is. Maybe I kind of think that maybe we'll see the Harbaugh brothers go head-to-head again.
Yeah.
Which I think it could feel like 2011 all over again when Jim Harbaugh came to the NFL as the Niners head coach. So,
yeah.
Anyways, now we'll talk about Week 18. So our Saturday specials, we got 2 games. One is the Chiefs and Broncos. That'll be at 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. And then at 8:15 Eastern time, the Cowboys take on the Philadelphia Eagles. The first game we'll talk about is the Chiefs and the Broncos, which could likely be Vic Fangio's final home game. So anyway, final game is the Denver Broncos head coach. So I am going to pick the Kansas City Chiefs to win, and I think they'll get the 1 seed.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that well, I don't think they're going to get the 1 seed because I think Tennessee is going to win. So I think Kansas City will get the 2 seed. They'll win at Denver. Tennessee will win at Houston.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that'll happen here. And then the next game we'll talk about is Cowboys-Eagles. And I picked the Dallas Cowboys to get the win over Philadelphia. Philadelphia has nothing to play for, and they already clinched a playoff berth.
Uh-huh.
And what about you?
You said this is Cowboys Philadelphia?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that it is I think Dallas will get the win still.
All right. So anyways, we got the Chiefs, we got the Cowboys winning the Saturday games, and then now time for the Sunday picks. So we got it a little different here. I got it a little organized because it's on time frame. So let's start with the 1 o'clock window. So let's start with your Detroit Lions taking on the Green Bay Packers. I mean, the Packers already have the 1 seed, and the Lions, however, are just looking to just get one more win before the end of the season because the Packers have nothing to play for. But I think Aaron Rodgers will probably still be playing in this game to kind of work on the things, and then maybe you go with Jordan Love for the second half since the Packers have nothing to play for here. So I'm going to pick the Green Bay Packers to still win this football. You know, I'm torn on this pick. I want Green Bay to save their bullets for the playoffs. I'm going to pick your Detroit Lions to get a win.
Yeah, I think Green Bay will still get the win for some reason. I think, yeah, depending whether they rest their starters or not, I think they'll still probably pull out a win.
And then talk about the Bears versus the Vikings. So I think I'm going to pick here with Kirk Cousins playing. I'm picking the Vikings to win this game.
Me too.
And then we'll talk about our next early game. It'll be in the NFC East. The AFC South, I mean. The Colts are taking on the Jags in Jacksonville. I am going to pick the Indianapolis Colts to win. I don't think there's a way the Steelers get in the playoffs. There's no way that Jacksonville will win this game.
Yeah, I think the Colts get a win.
And then the Texans and Titans. I picked the Chiefs to get the 1 seed. I'm going to pick the Texans to win this game because I think they're going to play it. I think they would want to end the season on a good note because they're playing for their coach. And I think that David Culley has done a nice enough job in his first year as the Texans head coach.
Yeah, I think he's staying. But I think Tennessee gets that win. And
then talk about the Washington football team taking on the New York Giants. So I'll pick I'm going to go for my guy, Joe Judge, and have him get this win in the Meadowlands.
I'm going to go with the Washington football team.
All right. So anyways, now with that being said here, let's talk about another 1 o'clock game that a 1 o'clock game here. The Bengals and the Browns here. I'm actually going to go with the Cleveland Browns because the Bengals do not have Burrow. They're going to be resting a lot of their starters. So give me the Cleveland Browns. And I think how they're going to win this game is ground and pound with Nick Chubb. And I think Case Keenum will do enough. Even though Baker Mayfield couldn't complete the season here, I still think he's the guy for the Cleveland Browns going forward. Case Keenum, I think, will find a way to finish out the season on a good note for Cleveland.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Cleveland too.
And then the Steelers and Ravens. This has likely Ben Roethlisberger's final game in the NFL. And for the Ravens, if they get Lamar Jackson back, they have a chance to win. But I just don't think the Ravens are going to get a win here. I'm going to go for Pittsburgh in this just for this week because it's for Big Ben.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Pittsburgh too, just because it's Lamar Jackson. He's out again, right?
He might play, but who knows?
Oh, okay. Well, I think if Lamar plays, I think I'd go with Baltimore.
Yeah, that probably would be the case here. But anyways, now let's talk about the 4:25. Let's go on to the late afternoon games. Let's go to the AFC East. So the New York Jets taking on the Buffalo Bills. As much as I would want to say this, do I want the Jets to beat the Bills so that the Patriots can clinch the AFC East? It's possible. I would love for it to happen. But realistically, I think the Bills are going to win. So It's worth the risk for me, so I'm gonna pick Zach Wilson and the Jets to get a win in Buffalo, just so that my Patriots can win the AFC East. But is it gonna happen? Most likely not, but it could.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna say that the Bills win.
And then the Patriots take on the Dolphins here. So if the Patriots win, they remain the 5 seed. But if they lose, I think they're going to drop down to the 7th spot. But Brian Flores knows Bill Belichick so well that he's going to want to knock off the Patriots from a good spot in the playoffs here, since the Dolphins have nothing to play for. And I do think that Tua Tagovailoa is their guy. A lot of people are bashing on him already because he had a bad game against Tennessee. I think he's done enough to have a third year in Miami. So I'm going to pick the Patriots to win.
I think New England, I think the Patriots win. I think Tua's time in Miami is done.
Why do you think it's done? I don't think it is.
I think if they can get another quarterback in the offseason, they'll do it and they'll move off of Tua. I think Tua just he has too low of a ceiling. Like, they have a good defense. They've had a lot of things go their way this season, and the best they can do is 8-8 record. So I think like Baker Mayfield, he might be able to find another job in the NFL as a starter, but I don't think it should be with Miami.
I think it should be in Miami with Tua. I mean, they invested on him. They have Jalen Waddle with him, so I think that connection's working.
Okay.
So that's my opinion there, and I don't think that the Dolphins will move off of Tua. I know you do, but I always back Tua for I just think that Tua's their guy in Miami. You just got to give him time.
Uh-huh.
And I think he's shown enough to stay in Miami for year 3. And I think I know that you would think that too.
Yeah.
So, anyways, next game we'll talk about is when the Panthers take on the Buccaneers here. So, I think if you look at it here, I think that the Buccaneers get the win against Carolina.
Yes, I do too.
And then the Saints and the Falcons. Who would you want? Do you want Matt Ryan or do you want the Saints? I'm actually going to pick Matt Ryan to win this game. I think the Falcons have played extremely hard for Arthur Smith.
Ooh, interesting. I'm going to go with the Saints. I'm going to say they get the win.
And then in the NFC West, the 49ers and the LA Rams. I am actually going to pick here the LA Rams. I think they're going to win the NFC West like we talked about.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, McVay is 0-5 against Kyle Shanahan, though. So there could be some he has problems with him. So this will be a close game, but I think the Rams will finally get that monkey off their back.
Well, I mean, Sean McVay has 2 wins against Sean McVay in his career, but since 2019, he's 0-5 against Kyle Shanahan.
Uh-huh.
So, talking about next, the Seahawks and Cardinals. I'm going to say here, I'm going to pick the Cardinals to win this game. I just think Seattle is just done. And I think that Seattle might part ways with Pete Carroll so that they keep Russell Wilson.
Okay, I'm going with Arizona as well.
And then now we'll talk about the Sunday night game. I mean, you're a season ticket holder of the LA Chargers, and you might get a home playoff game, but probably not since the Chiefs have won the division. One of these teams is going to make the playoffs. So, if a lot has to happen if the Chargers and the Raiders get in the playoffs.
Yeah, they can't both get in the playoffs unless they tie, and then the Jaguars beat the Colts.
Yeah, I mean, that's something has to happen here. So
yeah,
I think it's going to be one of these teams that's going to make the playoffs. So
yep, I
am going to pick here. This is tricky. I'm actually going to pick the Raiders to actually be in the playoffs here. I think that Herbert has a high ceiling, but you know what? I want Derek Carr to play in a playoff game, and I want him to remain in Las Vegas for a long time.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Chargers. I think that they're going to get this win and punch their ticket to the playoffs.
And
I
why
think
do you?
they're a better team than the Raiders, and so the Raiders, though, whenever you count them out, they get a win, but we'll see.
Yes, and then also talking about here, what was your reaction to the Washington football team coming up with a new name on February 2nd? Do you have a name that you think that will be fitting for this football team?
I think they should just stick with Washington football team. I think it's different. Seems classy. Yeah, I would stick with it.
Yeah, I would. That's for sure. So, anyways, with that being said here, almost time for the playoffs. I mean, next week on the NFL, you and I will be previewing and making our predictions for the playoff picture and our picks for Super Wild Card Weekend.
Yeah, sounds good.
That's going to be a really that's going to be good here. But I disagreed with your opinion on the Dolphins moving off of Tua. I don't think they will, honestly.
They might not if they don't. They're not going to draft somebody new, so it have to be like a free agency. So maybe there won't be enough free agent, or they'll lose out in free agency. So maybe they'll be stuck with him.
I think they're going to be stuck with Tua. I think they just need to get a better backup quarterback for him. That's kind of my thinking there. So, anyways, Derrick Henry back for the Titans, but he's probably not going to be playing. That's why the reason why I picked Houston is because I think that the Titans are saving Derrick Henry for the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, anyways, with that being said here, now we'll talk about some college football. So, when it comes to the New Year's Bowl recaps, talk about Alabama crushing Cincinnati and then Georgia crushing Michigan. What was your thoughts on those bowl games?
Yeah, I thought Michigan would put up a better fight than that. They looked bad, and Aiden Hutchinson looked bad in that game too. So everything that could go wrong kind of did go wrong for Michigan. And Georgia is in a position, I think, to beat Alabama now. I think I like them in the title game.
And then talk about the college football playoff national championship game. Talk about Georgia and Alabama going head-to-head here. And I'll tell you what, I think that my pick for this game, I'm going to pick the Alabama Crimson Tide. I think it's going to be an instant classic. I think we're going to see another overtime thriller. And I think it's going to go up to the high 50s. And what's your score prediction in this game?
I think it'll be Georgia 45, Alabama 40.
Absolutely. I think that'll be a really good game here. And do you think it'll go to overtime? Will it be ending like will Alabama win in the last play in overtime though?
No, I think it won't come down to that, but it'll be a last minute drive, I think, by one of the teams.
Oh, okay. So, anyways, now we'll talk about some baseball real quick. So, what's your reaction on Ken Rosenthal's unexpected firing from MLB Network for criticizing Rob Manfred? I was like, you don't do that just because you criticize Commissioner Manfred, who's been an utter disaster to the game of baseball.
Yeah, who criticized him?
Ken Rosenthal.
Oh yeah, and then he got fired, right, from the MLB Network.
Yeah, but he's still working with Fox and The Athletic.
Yeah. What did he say?
I'm not sure what he said, but he just criticized them for something, and then Major League Baseball, major MLB Network's owned by Major League Baseball.
Yeah. Let's see, what did he... Yeah, must have said something pretty bad. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what he said.
Yeah, it was just an unexpected firing, though.
Yeah.
But also another update is that there's no negotiation scheduled right now between the players and the MLB regarding the CBA. But you know what? No need to panic right now. I feel like that both sides will get back to the table probably mid-January, and I think that I really do. I'm optimistic that it'll end before spring training. Still.
Uh-huh.
What about you? What do you think about this?
I think there'll be a work stoppage.
No, there is already right now, but do you think it will end before spring training by the time pitchers and catchers report to spring training?
Yeah. I think there'll be a delay in the start of the season. Yeah.
I don't think there will be.
Okay.
So, anyways, talk about some basketball right here. The Lakers last night with a huge win over the Sacramento Kings. And I'll tell you what, I mean, the Lakers, are they starting to pick it up right now? Do you think they are? Or do you need to wait on that?
Say it again.
Are the Lakers picking it up at the right time right now?
Well, they showed some good improvement. Russell Westbrook had his first game without a turnover. That's pretty good. We'll see. I think the next this month of January is going to be very telling.
It will be. I think it's going to be I think it's going to be telling. You know, I think it's going to be a critical month in this NBA season here. But anyways, now with that being said, here, let's talk about the Pistons and Hornets game. I mean, you're 7-28 here. So, are the Pistons? How is this rebuild going this year for the Pistons? And surprisingly so, you beat a powerhouse Bucks team. Are you surprised that the Pistons beat the Bucks? Will you just want to celebrate on the streets?
Yeah, probably not. It's still just one win, but yeah, that was a huge shocker. The Pistons have just been terrible this year.
You would just lose every single game. But for the Bucks, if you were the Bucks, they would just slap themselves for losing to the Pistons.
Yeah.
So for the Pistons tonight, they take on the Charlotte Hornets. And, you know, I like Cade Cunningham, though.
Me too.
And also, talk about what was your thoughts on Rajon Rondo being traded to the Cavaliers? Because, I mean, he was involved in a 3-team deal, though.
Yeah, I think that we'll see. What do you think of it?
I think it's bad for the Lakers. They should have given him a shot, but I think with Kendrick Nunn coming back, I think you got to give him more playing time.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I agree.
So, anyways, talk about some NHL here. So, talk about the Kings, the coldest game in history, when the Minnesota Wild took on the Blues in the Winter Classic. Did you get a chance to watch that game?
I didn't, no.
And then talk about the Kings, however, in their last game, they blew out the Philadelphia Flyers. And their next game is not going to be until tomorrow against the Nashville Predators. And then the Kings won't see the Detroit Red Wings not until this Saturday, actually.
I'll be there.
16-12-5 going up against 16-12-5 Kings, 16-15-3 Red Wings. So, what is your initial thoughts on this game? Are you kind of excited to see what both teams can do here?
Yeah, they're both young teams that I think can have really exciting spurts, over the course of a game or a season. And Wings got a big win at home against San Jose. Beat them 6-2. Had 2 shorthanded goals. They can be wild and fun to watch, both of them.
Yeah, I mean, both teams have been very streaky here. I mean, I might not be able to watch this game because I'll be doing football. I'll have football for Colorcast there. So, I mean,
Great.
talk about a lot of NHL games going to be rescheduled by the time the Olympics start. The NHL's not participating in the Olympics. What is your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I'm fine with it.
Yeah. I mean, they have the All-Star game and all that to worry about. So, anyway, so that's kind of my thinking there. But anyways, Matt, I'll talk to you next Wednesday, and be ready to preview make our NFL playoff bracket, talk about where teams will go where, and then make our picks for Super Wild Card Weekend.
Looking forward to it. See you, Loro.